Hello students, we are going for the next headings. In the last class, I was talking with racemose. Racemose is nothing but, racemose inflorescence is nothing but a group of flowers. It cannot be counted. So, it is called as indefinite number of flowers, and the peduncle tip should not end with a flower. That is called as racemose, and I have given you different types of racemose. Now, we are starting with a second one called as cymose. Cymose inflorescence. So, in a cymose inflorescence, the peduncle is always ending with a older flower. This is called as the stalk of a inflorescence called as peduncle. The peduncle is ending with a bigger flower, or we use a word older flower, or we use a word bigger flower. And it has a definite number of flowers. The meaning of definite number, we can count how many flowers are there. So, like this, so here there is a definite number of flowers is called as cymose. I am repeating it. In a cymose, the peduncle ends with an older flower and there is a limited number of flowers have been present. Now, we will start with different types of cymoses. So, in a cymose, the first one is called as monocacial cyme. Monocacial cyme. So, monocacial cyme is also called as uniparous. Uniparous cyme. So, in a monocacial cyme, so we are going to see that there is a presence of the peduncle, and the peduncle is ending with a older flower, and only one side there is a presence of branching. Only one side there is a presence of flowers. So, towards one lateral sides there is a presence of flowers have been present, hence we call it as monocacial. I will repeat this. The peduncle ends with an older flower, and towards only one side there is a presence of flowers. Only lateral side there is a presence of flowers. For that we call it as monocacial. So, in a monocacial again there are two types. There are two types. One is called as helicoid. One is called as helicoid, or we even called one side cyme. So, in a helicoid, so there is a presence of flowers, and one side there is a presence of flowers, and there is a presence of coiling. So, just you can see like this. So, I will show this. Here there is a presence of flower, like this. So, the peduncle has older flower, and one side there is a presence of flower smaller than this, smaller than this, smaller than this, like this. It's keep on coiling, hence it is called as helicoid. Helicoid monocacial cyme. For this, the example is called as begonia. So, begonia is the example for helicoid. So, we go for the second one called as scorpioid. So, in a scorpioid, there is a presence of flowers in a zigzag way, or left and right side. So, I will repeat this. So, here you can see there is a presence of a peduncle with a older flower, older, or we use a word bigger flower. This is called as peduncle, and here there is a presence of only one side the flowers are there, hence it is called as monocacial. In a scorpioid, they are present in a left and right positions like this. So here the flowers will be in a zigzag fashion. From here the flower starts, from here one more flower, from here one more flower, like this. It is in the form of a zigzag fashion. I'll repeat this. So here this is one flower, here one more, here one more, and here one more, here like this. So it is in the form of a zigzag fashion. So it is called as scorpioid. Example for this is ranunculus. Ranunculus is an example for scorpioid type of inflorescence. So we are going for the next one called as dicacial sign. Here the word di indicates two. So on both these sides there is a presence of branching. So this is the stalk of a flower, stalk of an inflorescence called as peduncle. The peduncle is ending with a older flower, bigger flower. So here on both these sides there is a presence of branching. So both the sides we can see there is a presence of branching. For that we use a word dicacial sign. The word di, both the sides branchings are there, both the sides the flowers have been present, hence we use a word dicacial sign. For this we use a word jasmine is an example. So in a jasmine we can see there is only 3 flowers will be there, 2 will be small bud conditions, 2 and 1 will be a bigger flower. Like this dicacial sign, to both the sides there is a presence of flowers. Now we go for the other one called as polycacial sign. Polycacial sign indicates many. So it is also called as multicacial. Multicacial, or it is called as polycacial sign. Here the flowers are many, or we say that many flowers are there, but still it comes under cymose. So here this is called as peduncle, ends with a older flower, or we use a word bigger flower. Here there is a presence of younger flowers. Compared to this it is smaller. Next, in polycacial, here again there is a presence of flowers, and these flowers are smaller than this. They are smaller than this. So this is called as polycacial sign, and it can be noticed in the nerium. So in a nerium there is a presence of polycacial sign, and one more called as calotrophes. So calotrophes is also one of the example for polycacial. So we are going for the next study called as third one, called as special types of inflorescence. The first one was racemose, the second one was phymose, and the third one is called as special types. Here the word special type indicates the arrangement of flowers itself is a special type, different types. So the first one under this is called as cyathium. Cyathium inflorescence. In a cyathium inflorescence there is a presence of 5 bracts. There is a presence of 5 bracts fused to form involucre. Involucre. So 5 bracts are fused to form involucre of bracts, involucres. So here just have a look. Here the bract is fused. There are 5 bracts, and these 5 bracts are fused together to form involucre. This is called involucre. So in this 5 bracts there is a presence of, at the mouth there is a presence of many male flowers are there. So here many male flowers are present. Many male flowers. So towards the lower side there is a presence of only one female flower is present. Only one female flower is there. This is called as ovary, style, and stigma. So here like this, only one called as female flower, and this are called as male flower. And towards this there is a presence of small yellow colored or sometimes red colored honey cup is present. Honey cup is present. This is called as Cyathium inflorescence. This can be noticed in called as a plant called as euphorbia. In a euphorbia there is a presence of Cyathium inflorescence. So we'll start with the second one called as Hypanthodium inflorescence. So in a Hypanthodium inflorescence, so just we can see here there is a presence of a cup like structure. So in an Hypanthodium there is a presence of a cup like structure, and the opening there is a presence of small opening on the topper side called as hostia. So in this cup there is a presence of three types of flowers. This is important in Hypanthodium. There is three types of flowers. Towards the topper side there is a presence of male flowers. Here there is a presence of male flowers have been present. Towards the lower side there is a presence of female flowers have been present. This is called female flowers. Female flowers have been present. In between male and female flowers there is a presence of gall flowers. So these gall flowers look similar like a female flowers, but they are called as sterile flowers. They never help in reproduction. So they are called as sterile flowers, and the sterile flowers are called as gall flowers. So in this there is a presence of a insect called as small bee, or we call it as gall wasp. This gall wasp enters into the Hypanthodium inflorescence as it starts rotating. As the fly starts rotating, here the male pollen grains falls on a female and undergoes fertilization, and as the fly is coming out, it lays the eggs in this and comes out. So this type of inflorescence can be noticed in Ficus bengalensis, or it is called as fig or Ficus bengalensis. So we'll go for the next one called as verticelaster inflorescence. Third one is called as verticelaster inflorescence. So in a verticelaster inflorescence, at the nodal region, here the flowers are arranged in a dicacial cyme. This dicacial cyme gradually changes to monocacial cyme, and it is scorpioid arrangement. I'll repeat this. In a verticelaster, the dicacial cyme converts into monocacial scorpioid type. Here just you can see there is a presence of inflorescence here. So here the inflorescence have been present like this. A small white color flowers have been present, and this is the example for this is called as leucas. Commonly we use the word Ishwaravua. So this called as leucas. Here the flowers are very small, white in color. Flowers have been present, and in this there is a presence of verticelaster arrangement, and even it can be noticed in tulsi. In tulsi also verticelaster inflorescence can be noticed. So we are going for the next heading called as flower. So we know that flower is called as the reproductive part of a plant body. So this helps in reproduction. So hence it is called as reproductive part of the plant body is flower. And we know that in many of the cases we offer flowers. For example, for God we are going to offer the flowers, or a person has affection or love on the others, they offer flowers for them also. So flower is an indication for respecting the others. So that is also one, and here it is a reproductive part of a plant body. Now we are talking about the study of flower. The study of flowers is called as anthology. So anthology is nothing but a branch of science. It deals with the study of flowers. It deals with the study of flowers, hence it is called as anthology. Now, the stalk of a flower is called pedicel. So we know that there is a presence of pedicel. So the pedicel is always called as the stalk. The stalk of flower is called pedicel. Now, we go for parts of a flower. So in a parts of a flower, there is a presence of two parts have been present. One is called as an essential part and the other one is called the non-essential part of a flower. So here the word essential. The word essential which helps in reproduction. So we are starting with the first one called as non-essential and the second one called essential. So here the word non-essential, it is not required for the sexual activities or sexual reproduction. These parts are not required, so they are called as non-essential parts of a flower. There are two words. One is called as calyx. The calyx is also called as sepals. So this is one of the non-essential part, and the second one is called as corolla. So the corolla is also called as petals. Petals are also called as corolla. These two are called as non-essential parts of a flower. So we go for the next one called essential part. The word essential part, this helps in reproduction. So in a flower, this helps in reproduction. There are again two words. One is called as androecium. Androecium. So in this androecium, again we call there is a presence of stamens or male sex organs. This is called as male sex organs, or it is called as androecium. Whereas the fourth part is called as gynoecium. So in a gynoecium, there are three parts as we know: ovary, style and stigma. This is usually, we use the word pistil, or it is called as the female sex organ. Female sex organs are called as gynoecium. So we are going for the parts of a typical flower. So when you take a stalk, the stalk of the flower is always called as pedicel. So stalk of a flower is pedicel. The pedicel is ending with the thalamus. On the thalamus, the floral parts are going to take its origin. So here there is a presence of a stalk of flower, pedicel. The pedicel is ending with a thalamus. So when we go for a marigold or sunflower, here there is a presence of the spherical shaped structures have been present. For that we use a word receptacle. So this is called as receptacle. So when you talk about a pedicel, this has the part called as thalamus, where the floral parts begins. Now, one called as the calyx and the other one is called corolla. These two are called as non-essential parts. 99.9% all the flowers calyx is green in color. So usually calyx is green in color. Only few examples are there which has a different colored calyx are there. So calyx is also called as sepals. This is called as the outermost whorl of the flower. Outermost whorl. When we take a flower bud, this calyx completely covers the flower. So just we call this is called as calyx or called as sepals. Inside this there is a presence of ovary, style and stigma. There is a presence of anther and even petals are also present inside. So this is called as flower bud. In a flower bud, the calyx is going to cover all the parts, essential, non-essential part, and it is called as outer whorl. Next to that, there is a presence of corolla. The corolla is of various colored. Petals are various colored petals are there. This color is required for the attraction of insects for the sake of pollination. So here they helps in attraction of insects for the pollination, hence they are of different colors. We are going to discuss this in detail also. Now we go for the essential parts. The essential parts are of two. One is called as andrecium and gynoecium. So in the andrecium there is a presence of one called as a filament and the other one called as anther. The filament and anther is connected by connective. So this is the stalk called as anther and the filament, and this is called as anther. So this is male sex organ stamen, and in the female called as gynoecium, it has three parts. One, as we know that there is a presence of ovary, and this is called as a stalk called as style, and this is called as stigma. So ovary, style and stigma. So inside this ovary there is a presence of ovules. So ovule is called as a female reproductive structure. This is called as gynoecium. So the gynoecium is also called as female reproductive structure. So I am going to repeat this. Just have a look. Non-essential calyx, corolla, essential andrecium and gynoecium. Now we are going for few more words here. Just observe. I am talking about unisexual and bisexual flowers. So here just we can see there is a presence of unisexual and bisexual flowers. So when you take a word called as unisexual flowers, the word unisexual, in a flower either one of the sex should be there, only one sex should be there in a flower. Such type of flowers are called as unisexual. For example, calyx is there, corolla is there, andrecium is there, and gynoecium is not there. When gynoecium is not there, this is always called as unisexual male flower. Only andrecium present. Andrecium present, we use a word male sex. Male sex or male plant. So this male plant is also called as staminate. The male sex organs, only male sex organs are there. We use a word staminate. Or calyx is there, corolla is there, andrecium is not there, but gynoecium is there. Then it is called as a female flower. Then it is called as only gynoecium is present. Then it is called as a female flower or female plant. The female plant is called as pistillate. Now, I was talking with unisexual. In both the sexes, any one sex is there, it is called as unisexual flowers. And this flower is also called as incomplete flower. The word incomplete, when all the four parts are there in a flower, we use the word complete. If any one part is not there in a flower, it is called as incomplete. So unisexual is called incomplete flowers. or it is called as irregular flowers. Irregular flowers. Simultaneously, we go for the same words. Here, we start with a word called as bisexual flowers. The word bisexual. In a flower, all the four parts should be there: calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. In a same flower or one flower, both the sexes are there. Androecium is also there, gynoecium is also there. For that we use a word bisexual. Both androecium and gynoecium. Androecium and gynoecium should be there, hence it is called as bisexual. So the bisexual is also called as complete flower. Complete flower, or it is also called as regular flower. So we use the word regular, complete, bisexual, all the same. Whereas in the animals, when there is a presence of both the sexes, we use the word hermaphrodites. But here, in a botany, we use the word bisexual, and this is called as unisexual. Students, we are going to continue with some more in detail about the flower. So we are talking with a bract. So when you take a stem, the stem at the nodal regions gives rise to a flower. So let's imagine this is a flower. This is called as stalk of a flower called pedicel. At the base of the pedicel, there is the presence of two outgrowths. And these two outgrowths are called as bract. This is called as bract. If the outgrowths are present on the pedicel, it is called as bracteole. I am giving the difference between bract and bracteole. So just have a look at the base of the pedicel. At the base of the pedicel, there is a presence of outgrowths called bract. On the pedicel, the outgrowths called as bracteole. So here, just have a look. This is stem. This is a leaf. At the base of a leaf, the outgrowths have been present. This is called as stipules. This is called as stipules. At the base of the pedicel, bract. On the pedicel, bracteole. This word should not be confused. So I have made it very clearly about the bract, bracteole and stipule. So stipules are present in the leaf. So here bract and bracteole. In a flower, if bract is present, we use the word bracteate. If a bract is present, we use the word bracteate. Same way, if a bracteole is present, it is called as bracteolate. It is called as bracteolate. If bract is absent, we use the word exbracteate, or we use the word ebracteate. So it may be called as exbracteate, or we use the word ebracteate. So the word ebracteate, that indicates bract is absent. Same way, if a bracteole is present, bracteolate. If bracteole is absent, we use a word ebracteolate. So this words to be remembered. Now we talk with different types of bract. So here at the base of the pedicel, bract is there. We are talking with different types of bracts. So here in some, as I mentioned, in cyathium inflorescence. In a cyathium inflorescence, there is 5 bracts are fused to form involucre. This is called involucre of bracts. Involucre of bract. So this is the types, first type called as involucre. In a paper flower, in a paper flower called as bougainvillea, in a paper flower called bougainvillea, here the bract appears like a petal, so it is called as petaloid bract. In a bougainvillea, the bract is modified like a petal, hence it is called as petaloid bract. So here 5 bracts are fused to form involucre of bract. Next, when we go for a coconut, banana, in this the bract is fused to form a boat shape, hence it is called as spathe. So spathe is nothing but boat shaped bract. So hence there are 3 different types of bracts: involucre of bracts, petaloid bracts, spathe. All these are nothing but different types of bracts. So we are starting with a next heading called as symmetry of flower. The word symmetry, it is nothing but when you take a flower and cutting a flower in any plane is called as symmetry. Or when you take a flower and cut, so whether it is resulting with 2 equal halves or not, so that we are going to see. So that is called as plane of division. Cutting off a flower is called as symmetry. So based on a symmetry of a flower, we have different types. So we'll start with the first one called as actinomorphic flowers. Actinomorphic flowers. So the word actinomorphic is also called as radial symmetry. Is also called as radial symmetry. So when you take a flower and cut the flower in any plane, cut the flower in any plane, it results with 2 equal halves. Results with 2 equal halves is called as actinomorphic. So when I take a section, take a flower, cut like this, it gives rise to 2 equal halves. Cut like this, give rise to 2 equal halves. Cut in this plane also, it gives rise to 2 equal halves. So when you take a flower and cut in any plane, it gives rise to 2 equal halves. Hence it is called as actinomorphic, or it is called as radial symmetry. So the word radial, so we note that when you take a circle and cut a flower in any plane, it gives rise to 2 equal halves. So like this, when you cut the flower in any plane, it gives rise to 2 equal halves, hence it is called as actinomorphic. And the actinomorphic is denoted by a symbol. So here when we are representing actinomorphic, we are writing a circle and write plus. So this symbol denotes it is actinomorphic. So when you take hibiscus, it gives rise to hibiscus, rose. In all this, there is a presence of actinomorphic flowers. So we go for the second one called as zygomorphic flowers. So zygomorphic flowers are also called as bilateral flowers or bilateral symmetry. So here actinomorphic is called as radial, zygomorphic is called as bilateral symmetry. So when we cut the flower in only one plane, it gives rise to 2 equal halves. Only in one plane, it gives rise to 2 equal halves. Whereas in the other planes, it never gives rise to two equal halves. So in only one plane, it gives rise to two equal halves. In the other plane, it never gives rise to two equal halves. For example, when you take Lucas example, when we cut the flower like this, it gives rise to two equal halves. When we cut the flower like this, it never gives rise to two equal halves. Hence, it is called as zygomorphic, or we call it as bilateral symmetry. So, bilateral symmetry is represented by percentage. So, when we write a percentage like this, this indicates it is a bilateral symmetry. So, this can be noticed in the Lucas and this can be noticed in hibiscus. So, we go for the third one. Third one is called as asymmetry. So, we use the word asymmetry. So, the word asymmetry, when you take a flower and cut into two equal halves, it never occurs. So, because asymmetry is also called as irregular symmetry. So, this is called as irregular symmetry. So, in any plane, it never gives rise to, two equal halves. So here it is not giving rise to, it never gives rise to two equal halves. So in any plane, it never gives rise to two equal halves. Hence it is called as asymmetry. This can be noticed in canna flowers. So in a canna, it is usually called as asymmetry. Dear students, we are going for the next headings called as position of a ovary in a flower. So we know that ovary is a female reproductive part. So in a gynecium, there are three words: ovary, style and stigma. So how the ovary position is there, whether it is above or below, and where the ovary position is there, based on that we are going to discuss three types. The first one is called as hypogynous ovary. So hypogynous ovary is also called as superior ovary. So just have a look. So this is ovary and here there is a presence of a style, stigma. Ovary, style and stigma. Inside this there is a presence of ovule. So below this there is a presence of the thalamus, has the pedicel. Now just observe. Below the ovary, all the other floral parts takes its origin. Below the ovary, all the other floral parts takes its origin. So here, below the ovary, there is a presence of stamens. Here, from here, stamens arises. From here, corolla arises. From here, sepals arises. So here, sepals, petals and androecium arises below. Hence it is called as hypo. Hypo means below. The word superior, the meaning of superior, all the parts are below and ovary is above. Ovary is superior, ovary is above, hence it is called as superior ovary. So this type can be noticed in an example called as hibiscus. So in a hibiscus, commonly called as China rose. In this, just we see that there is a presence of superior ovary. So we go for the second one called as epigynous ovary. Epigynous ovary. So epigynous ovary is called as inferior ovary. Inferior ovary. Now here just we see that there is a presence of the thalamus. The thalamus here is modified like a cup, full cup. Thalamus is modified like a full cup. Inside this thalamus, there is a presence of ovary. In this thalamus cup, thalamus, full cup, there is a presence of ovary. Above this, there is a presence of style and stigma. Inside this, there is a presence of ovules. Now here, all the other floral parts arises above the ovary. So here, there is a presence of calyx. This is called as calyx. Here, this is called as corolla. Corolla, and stamens are present here. So here, stamens. So here the ovary is below and all the other parts are above, hence epi. The word epi means above. So above the ovary, floral parts are there. We use the word epigynous. Whereas the word inferior, inferior means below. So all the other parts above and ovary is below. Hence this is called as inferior ovary. So this can be noticed in the guava. So in the guava, and one more example called as apple, there is a presence of inferior ovary. Now we go for the third one called as perigynous ovary. The word perigynous is also called as semi-inferior, half inferior, or we use a word semi-superior, half above. So semi-superior or semi-inferior is called as perigynous. So here in a perigynous we see that thalamus is usually in the presence of a half cup shaped. Thalamus is half cup. Here there is a presence of ovary. This is ovary, style and stigma. So this is thalamus, half cup. So at the center of the ovary, all the parts arises. So here this is called as calyx and this is called as corolla. Here there is a presence of stamens. So what is happening here? At the center of the ovary, all the other parts arises. So we call semi-superior, half superior, or we can use a word half inferior. So it is called as superior or inferior can be noticed. So this can be noticed in the rose and in the plum. So rose, in the plum, peach, in all this there is a presence of semi-superior or semi-inferior. For that this is called as superior ovary and this is called inferior ovary. This is called as semi-superior or semi-inferior ovary. This types of ovaries is important for the exam. So this will be asked repeatedly in the exams. So we are going for the next heading called as parts of a flower. So we know that in a flower there are two parts called as one non-essential parts called as calyx, corolla, and the second one called as essential called as androecium, gynoecium. Now we take each one and go in detail. So we start with the first part called as calyx. Calyx are also called as sepals. So it is one of the non-essential part. So it is non-essential part of a flower and it is usually green in color. And it forms the outer whorl. It is called as outer whorl of a flower. So outer part of a flower is called as calyx. As I mentioned, the calyx covers all the parts in the flower bud condition. In a flower bud, the calyx is covering the entire parts. So, inside the flower bud, there is a presence of corolla, stamens, gynoecium, all that is there. So, hence it is called as the outermost covering or in a flower bud. Now, we are talking with different types of calyx. First one called as polysepalous. The word polysepalous calyx. Polysepalous calyx means here the calyx is free. The calyx is free. Don't confuse. Here the word poly means it's not many. Poly means free. Here polysepalous, the sepals are free. Here the sepals from the base, it is free, it is not fused. So like this, the sepals are free, hence it is called as polysepalous, and this polysepalous can be noticed in the rose. Example, rose, there is a presence of polysepalous condition. So we go for the second one called as gamosepalous. The word gamo, fused. The gamo means fused. Here the calyx is fused. Hence it is called as gamosepalous. So here when you take a word sepal, in this sepal, here only at the tip, just we see there is the presence of free, whereas all this are fused together. Hence this is called as fused calyx, called as gamosepalous. This can be noticed in hibiscus. So we go for the third one called as pappus calyx. The word pappus, the calyx is modified like a hair. Calyx is modified like hairs. Hence it is called as pappus calyx. So when you take a ray floret, as I mentioned in the sunflower, there are two types of flowers. Our head inflorescence has two types of flowers, ray florets and disc florets. This is called as the corolla is in the form of a tongue-shaped lingate. Lingate corolla, and the calyx is modified like hairs. This is called as hair-like calyx. So inside this there is a presence of gynoecium, which is the presence of like this. So this is called as ray floret. Whereas in a disc floret also, when you take a word disc floret, they are in a tube-like structures. Here the calyx is modified like a hair-like structures. So disc floret also there is a presence of corolla, calyx. Here there is a presence of male sex organs, and here there is a female sex organs are also there. So the example for this is sunflower, marigold. Sunflower, marigold, in all this there is a presence of pappus calyx. So we go for the fourth one called as persistent calyx. The word persistent, the calyx is present till the fruit development. The calyx is present till the fruit development. So here just we know that here, so here you can see in the brinjal. So in the brinjal there is a presence of calyx till the fruit. So examples can be seen in the brinjal, and even in tomato. Even in tomato there is a presence of persistent calyx. The meaning of persistent, the calyx is present till the fruit development. That is called as calyx. These are nothing but different types of calyx. We go for the next heading called as second part of a flower, called as corolla. Corolla is also called as petals. As I mentioned, the petals are of various colors for the sake of attraction of insects. For the sake of pollination, flowers are colored for the sake of attraction of insects. Now, we will talk with different types of petals, different types of corolla. The first one here called as polypetalous. Don't confuse the word. I used the word polysepalous in calyx. Now it is called as polypetalous. The word polypetalous, here the corolla petals are free. So polypetalous, petals are free. So only at the base the petals are being attached. So here, whereas all the petals are free. It is like this. So this can be noticed in hibiscus. In hibiscus, we can see petals are free. So we go for the second one called as gamopetalous. The word gamo, fused. So here the corolla is fused. Corolla is united, fused. So this can be noticed in many of the flowers. One of this is called as datura. So petals are fused. So in gamopetalous, just we are going in detail. There are different types under gamopetalous. So we are talking with the first one called as campanulate. Campanulate corolla. So here campanulate corolla is also called as bell-shaped corolla. Bell-shaped corolla. Just have a look here. There is a presence of small structure like this. From here the corolla is fused like this. So it appears like a bell. So bell-shaped corolla can be noticed in Phycelia. So in Phycellus there is a presence of bell-shaped corolla. So this is bell-shaped, called as corolla is fused in the form of a bell-shaped. So we are going for the second one called as infundibular. So in infundibular corolla, this is in funnel shaped. Funnel shaped. So here just we see that there is a presence of corolla is fused in the form of a bell shape. So here it can be noticed like this in the form of a bell shape, or we can write this in this manner. So it is fused like this, and this is also called as bell shape. This can be noticed in datura. Datura, it is in the form of a funnel shape. You can write like this or like this. Now we go for the third one called as papilionaceous corolla. So this papilionaceous corolla, it can be noticed in crotalaria. So in a crotalaria, the flowers looks like a boat shaped like this. These flowers, when we see, there is a presence of 5 different types of petals are noticed. One of the petal is usually called as a bigger petal. One of the petal is bigger petal, and this petal is always called as standard petal. So in a papilionaceous corolla, one of the petal is a bigger petal called as standard petal, whereas the remaining 2 petals are smaller petals. The remaining 2 are called as smaller petals, and these petals are called as wing petals, and the remaining 2 petals are fused. The remaining 2 petals are fused, and it is boat shaped, called as keel petals. So I will repeat this: standard petals, wing petals, and keel petals can be noticed in Crotalaria. So this is called as papilionaceous corolla. So we are going for the next one, called as tubular corolla. The tubular corolla, here the corolla is fused to form a tube-like structure. Tube-like structure, the corolla is fused. Inside this, there is a presence of the other floral parts have been present. So this can be noticed in the disc floret. As I said, there is a presence of pappus calyx. This is pappus calyx. This is called as corolla. So corolla is like a tube. Example, disc florets of a sunflower. Second one called as linguate corolla. Linguate is nothing but it is called as tongue shaped. So example, ray florets. So in a ray florets, just we see it is like this. Here again there is a presence of pappus calyx is there, and here the corolla is there. So the corolla is in the form of a tongue shape, hence it is called as ray florets of sunflower. Now we will go for a rotate or a wheel shaped. So rotate or a wheel shape, just we see that there is a presence of petals will be in the form of a wheel. So petals are like this, and below this there is a tube-like structures. So here it is like a wheel. So wheel shape can be noticed in brinjal, and it is also can be noticed in Vinca rosea. There is a presence of wheel-like or rotate. Now we go for bilabiata corolla. So bilabiata is also called as two-lipped corolla. So this can be noticed in leucas. So in a leucas, just we see there is one petal smaller and one petal bigger, like this. So in a leucas, in a Kannada we use the word Ishwarova. There is a presence of two lip-like structures have been present, hence it is called as bilabiata. Now we go for the cruciform corolla. In a cruciform corolla, again there is a 4 petals have been present, and their 4 petals are cross-walled. So there is a presence of cross-walled corollas have been present. So here you can see like this. So like this, there is a presence of cross walls can be noticed, and it is usually called as cruciform. This can be noticed in mustard, brassicaceae. So all these are nothing but different types of calyx. So we go for the next heading called as perianth. So here perianth is also called as tepals. So here just we use the word calyx sepals, corolla petals. Same way perianth is also called as tepals. Here the meaning of perianth, when calyx and corolla cannot be differentiated. It cannot be differentiated. Calyx, corolla cannot be differentiated is called as perianth, or calyx and corolla fused together appears like one unit, hence it is called as tepals. So when we go for example called as coconut, in a coconut we see that there is a presence of spadix inflorescence. Here there is a female flowers have been present. Towards the topper side there is a presence of male flowers. So when you open one of the male flower, when we see one of the male flower, there are usually 6 parts like this. So there is 6 parts can be noticed like this, and this is called as perianth. So 3 will be in one oral and remaining 3 will be one more oral. So we blindly use the word 3 plus 3 arrangement. Here calyx, corolla cannot be differentiated, they appear similarly. So majority of the monocots we see perianth. Perianth is present in monocots.